Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. It has been a long time, 4 months to be precise. And for any of you guys that don't know me, my name is Pritham. Everyone calls me Priz. This is my channel, The Life of Priz, and I'm an early 30s boy from London who left the corporate grind and the path of being a lawyer to go explore, find other opportunities, travel the world and make content. At least that was the plan. So I've been away from all social media and from Instagram and YouTube in particular, making content, and I also stopped traveling for 4 months. I came home at the end of December after only 2 weeks on the road because unfortunately I had a mental health crisis, and I was really umming and ahhing about whether to make this video. Not that there's a lot of stigma anymore around mental health. It is a conversation that's talked about a lot, but I didn't know whether it's something that I was ready to talk about, and I also didn't know whether it'd be any good talking about it, but I'm healing and I'm getting to the other side. I'm not quite there yet. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm a million miles better than where I was. It was an awful time in my life and I'm coming to the other side with a lot of help. So I wanted to make this video for myself to look back on and think I got through that awful time, and also in case anyone else is in the same boat or knows anyone in the same boat, if it inspires one person to either get help or I can hold their hand during what they're going through, then I'm a happy boy. Basically, in a nutshell, here's what happened. My plan was I'd saved up most of last year, I'd quit kind of all my jobs, I had finished my degree to be a lawyer, and I'd also done a bunch of other stuff in London, and I wanted to go and travel. So my plan was to leave, to go to Vietnam, start there. My wish list was the Philippines, Sri Lanka and Indonesia, the other islands apart from Bali. I really wanted to go to Lombok in particular. That was the plan. I took a one-way ticket out to Vietnam and I lasted not more than 2 weeks and I had to come home. And I was absolutely devastated, but I just could not ignore the symptoms anymore. Now, I am a pretty not metrosexual guy, but modern guy, modern masculinity, and grew up in a household, you know, where I learnt that talk about your emotions and feelings are important. But you know, my childhood, unfortunately, I'll go into a different part in the video, was really tough and some awful things happened, and I kind of just coped by pushing my feelings aside and just pushing through all the time. I pushed through school, I pushed through university, I pushed through other parts of my life and previous travels, and my coping mechanism was to either bury my head in the sand or just to throw myself into something. And it got to the point where my brain and my body just said, no, I've just got to stop, and it made me stop. And the symptoms were just too hard to ignore. So I got to Vietnam, started seeing amazing things and met beautiful people. I should have been having a great time, yet I was constantly stressed, constantly anxious. My heart rate was incredibly high. I could not switch off and relax in any way, shape or form. But the worst symptom was sleep. I did not sleep a single night. I was every night up wishing to God with the blanket up here that I'd get a single hour of sleep. I didn't get a single bit of sleep. It was an absolute nightmare. And it just completely wore me down. I kept trying to push through, being like, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. I saved up all this money to come here. And I was so disappointed in myself. And I held on to the end till I realised I'm just not enjoying this anymore. And it defeats the point. If you don't feel happy and free while you're travelling and every day is an absolute nightmare, just come home. So I decided to come home, but I was also terrified because I knew it would be winter. I knew I'd be by myself and I would have disappointed myself. And I also knew I'd really have to accept that something that I've been ignoring for a long time needed to be addressed, and I needed to get help. I've seen myself as an incredibly resilient person. I have been through a hell of a lot and completed a hell of a lot of very, very difficult things in my life. And I wondered why I could not seem to sort out my mental health issues myself. And I found it, I blame myself as being a bit of a failure, but that's not helpful. The minute I picked up the phone and called the GP and asked, is where things started to turn around for me. And it wasn't an easy road. It didn't happen overnight at all, but it was the start of a long process of acceptance, coming out of denial and dealing with my problems. And it's been a very long journey, and I'm not at the end yet, but I'm so glad to say that there is light, literally light, at the end of this long, dark tunnel. And for anyone who's going through it, you've got all of my sympathy, all of my support, and I urge you just to pick up the phone and just tell one person, the GP, tell a parent, tell a friend, and get the ball rolling on speaking to professionals. So part of my journey was, January was incredibly hard, middle of winter. I was just trying to get through, and I just started at basics. So I called the GP, started finding out what they could do in the interim. For me, that looked like getting sleeping medication, and I was really reluctant to take it. I'm really reluctant to take any form of mental health medication because I always thought I've just got to raw dog it and get through it and feel what I need to feel. But it was very apparent to me over time, especially with my time in Vietnam, that not sleeping is, you're not giving your body and mind time to recover and heal. You need that time, that shutdown time, for the body to repair itself and also to have energy the next day, not only to do what you need to do, but to heal even more and start to figure out the deeper underlying messages of what's going on with your body and your mind. So that was key for me, was to start to recover. Once I was able to break that cycle of insomnia and break the fear of sleeping, that really started to help me heal drastically. Everything else, started to improve. My mental health started to improve. My mood started to improve. I stopped fearing going to bed, and I started to get into regular patterns. I could go out and do walks, which had a knock-on effect. I could regulate my appetite. My body wasn't holding on to stress weight as much anymore. I started looking better and having obviously more energy, but also having energy, and then, because I was seeing the effects, to go do the other stuff, which also supported my mental health. So sleep, oh damn, is really, really important, as if I didn't know that, but it really, really helped. The other thing that really, really helped me was going to start seeing a counsellor. I've been on BetterHelp before, and this video isn't sponsored by BetterHelp. I've got nowhere near the amount of subscribers yet, but I decided to ask around, and a friend actually recommended a private counsellor to me, and I've been seeing her every week since January now, so it's 3 months, and she's supported me through a lot. It's really helped an immense amount to talk about what I've been going through and have that regular relationship and connection with someone who has really kind of been there for me when I felt incredibly low and also incredibly lonely. The other thing that really helped me, and this sounds completely woo-woo, and I was very skeptical at first, but once you start opening up to professionals, my talking therapist suggested that I try Reiki, and I didn't know that much about Reiki. I had heard about it before. It's basically an ancient Chinese medicine, and it really helps. It really works on regulating the body and using the body's natural healing system to regulate and heal yourself from the inside out, body, mind and soul. I started going to see a guy once a week again who did hour sessions on me per week, and I've been seeing him now for 2 months, and that has really supported me being able to emotionally regulate. I didn't touch on this before, but basically one of my other symptoms while I was away and the previous year was I'd lost my ability to emotionally regulate. That is a sign of unresolved trauma or wounds that are emotional in the body. So I was constantly hypervigilant. I was anxious and depressed. I had random bouts of crying uncontrollably. I was really, really irritable and moody. But I'd also, which was really worrying, had a lot of unprocessed anger that I was holding on to. I didn't even know. And that worried me the most because I want to be a happy person. I want to be a, approachable person. I want to be a friendly person. I want to be someone that people can relate to and, want to hang out with. And holding anger inside of you and it coming out in sideways ways it just screamed like, oh, what am I doing? Like, why do I feel so angry? And the talking therapy and combined with the Reiki really helped me start understanding why I was angry and how I could release some of it and where it was coming from. And it's already made a world of a difference. My mum thinks that I am way more positive and likable and easier to be around. My friends notice that I've got more energy and that I'm smiling more and coming out more and being more social. So it's definitely had a knock-on effect. And as someone like me who never thought of themselves as someone with these types of wounds, and I've read a lot, I've been incredibly sensitive, I'm quite emotional, I talk about my emotions with my friends quite a lot, I'm very, very in touch, with my feelings. I was shocked, really, to figure out how many emotions I hadn't looked at and I couldn't process, and how much pain, I guess, that there was lying under the surface. And it's really hard to carry that around with you, and it has an insane effect on you every day. It's an extra load, it's a burden, and you don't need to carry it. People don't need to carry pain and trauma around with them. And I'm no trauma or pain expert. Like, I don't want to be a life coach or a therapist. I just want to, and I don't want to spend my entire life healing as well. I think healing is incredibly important, but I always want to remember that healing is done to be able to live. I just want to go and live my life in whatever way that I want, that gives me joy and energy and excitement, and I feel like I'm making the most of it. And for me, that's, hopefully traveling more, making more of these videos. So if any of my experience can help someone, then that's just icing on the cake. So the other thing that helped, that's a little bit more difficult to talk about, is the GP referred me to a psychiatrist, which I asked for just so I can get a second opinion. I didn't necessarily want to medicate, but I was worried what the psychiatrist would say. I was worried that they'd say, like, yep, you are crazy, you're going to be institutionalized. That was a genuine worry of mine. And I went to go see the psychiatrist at the mental health unit, and it just had the opposite effect. It put me so much at ease, and I was so comforted by the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist said that I'd done a really good job at nursing myself during a mental health crisis, and more than that, I was going to be okay. It would just take some time. The psychiatrist gave me 3 months of basically create space, don't do a job, don't travel, find some stability, and basically join a gym if you want to locally, go a couple of times a week to a gentle exercise. Don't push yourself too hard, and maybe do like a creative part-time course at an adult learning centre, something that engages you but isn't stressful or strenuous. It was really nice to get that kind of advice from the psychiatrist. It put me at ease. It also put my mum at ease because she was worried but also didn't really know what was going on with me. So I was really, really warmed by my psychiatrist's reaction. And I think anyone who's in a bit of a spot with their mental health, if you want to go see a psychiatrist, don't be scared. It's something that helped me tenfold, and I'd really, really recommend you do it. Lastly, I want to talk about books, and I've had a lot of downtime since I've not been traveling. I've been at home and I've had time on my hands, so along with journaling, which I practice kind of every day anyway, I do a 10-minute morning pages in the morning, which really help get me through. I have been reading a lot, and I wanted to pass along some books that I thought were really helpful, and other books that were just really fun and entertaining or took my mind off of things. And I've got a bit of a two-way relationship with books. I think you could read all the self-help books in the world, and they could be a great catalyst. They can give you some good insight, but if you find yourself constantly just reading self-help, you might be using it as a bit of a distraction. And put things into action, and also trust yourself. Books can sometimes be nice signposts or give you permission. The work comes from you, not from the book, and that's kind of the thing that I always want to remember. That being said, here are some of the top things that I found really helpful during my crisis. So The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. The title put me off a little bit, and I thought it would be really, really cliche and cringy. It's quite basic and there's not a lot of personal experience from the author, but what I think she does really well is creates a space. This book is more like an experience. It's a room. It's a very calming room with a very soothing voice, and she's very, very good at the soothing aspect. So it's balm, it's a balm for the soul. It's nothing new, and there's nothing really personal from the author. She doesn't really reveal what she's been through at all, and it can be quite Instagrammy at times, but I'm going to overlook that and say she's created a world and experience here where you will be soothed by reading this. Again, this has been talked about a lot, and the title kind of also put me off a little bit, but I really enjoyed his no nonsense, no frills kind of writing about his mental health crisis. Again, some books give you permission, and this book for me made me feel like I understood what he was going through, and also really could relate to what I was going through, and could give it a label and could draw parallels between me and what he was going through. And one thing I would say is that yes, he was a little bit privileged because he was straight and had a girlfriend, an amazing girlfriend that helped him through all of this. You know, nothing's perfect, no one's perfect, but it'd be interesting to get some more queer voices in this space, which I might try and write something. So yes, let's see where that goes. Don't hold me to that, but it's an idea I got from this. But really well worth a read, really quick, really well written, and a really nice insight into what it's like to go through something honestly quite awful. I'm quite spiritual and I love meditation, but I found during this period that I couldn't really meditate. And talking to some people, maybe I shouldn't. If the mind's very overly active, the best way sometimes to be is in the body and to do a lot of walking. So walking a lot, being outdoors in nature, getting a bit of sun are all things that I did during this period that really, really helped get me through. But Sadhguru, who I love, wrote this book, Inner Engineering, and it's all about how the mind, body and soul work together. And it has some really nice insight into his beliefs, his background, some of his practices, and again, I just found it really fascinating. I really love India and Indian culture, and this gave me a nice dose of this bit of escapism while I was in bed, but also some nice insight into when I'm healthy and back to feeling myself, what I can go and do. And it's not all about self-help. Obviously, I love a bit of poetry, fiction, non-fiction, and I love Rupi Kaur, and I read Milk and Honey a long time ago, but I finally got The Sun and Her Flowers, and this for me hits deeper because it's about a very specific breakup and her grief, and about heartbreak, and it just touched me, and I think I really felt close to her during my time of loneliness, and would definitely recommend that to anyone who's going through something. She just has a way with words, and her drawings and the way she lays things out and the sequencing is just absolutely beautiful. So there we go in a nutshell. It's a lot of information and I'm doing a lot better, thank God. Some of my wounds definitely closing up. There's a few still in the mend. I've accepted that I might not be perfect, and that's fine. As long as I can function and trust myself again, then things will be okay. I made this video also for me, just to be like, bookend this awful chapter in my life, start something new, but also to get my confidence back and remember it's not that big a deal. And to remember that this is what I want to do. I want to make videos. I want to, you know, like start vlogging again and maybe start traveling. But for now, I'm just going to stop and breathe. I'm going to just be here and just enjoy the calm, enjoy the nothingness, not having to do much, and just enjoy being free and just feeling like a kid and that anything's possible, and walking around my local park, getting some sunshine now that the weather's better, and maybe making a few more videos. But I just wanted to make this as a start and to kind of get over that hump of feeling awkward and feeling shy and feeling ashamed, and also to say that there's nothing to be ashamed about. These things happen. It shows that you're human. No one cares anymore. The world has gone past trying to put on a brave face and appear perfect all the time. People want real. People want kind of messy and emotional, and people want human, and that is what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm really trying to get better at just being way more authentically me and get that across on camera and not be afraid. And it all comes back down to shame. Like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with having taken time out from life to deal with your feelings and your mental health. I want to live a great life and be a great guy and to be healthy in all aspects of my life. And sometimes we need to take time out to work on those. So it's been a rough, few years for me. This was brewing in the background for a while, needs to happen. And I'm kind of, it sounds awful, I'm kind of glad it did, because it needed to come out, and I needed to face some stuff that was very painful to face. I've still got a long way to go, but this is the start, and I'm putting myself back out there. So, hi YouTube. My name is Pritham. You can call me Priz, and I want to be a travel and lifestyle and all good stuff, books, menswear, everything vlogger, and it's nice to be back. Let me know how you guys are doing in the comments, and sending you all my love to wherever you are in the world, giving you a massive hug. Take care of yourselves, guys. Bye.